Welcome, everybody. This is Amanda with Easy Life Organizing, and thank you to Melanie, who is my guest today. And so all month of February, we've talked about self-love, and all of you who know me really well, including Melanie, knows that I am not good at self-love or self-care, especially this month with me being so sick lately. But that's why I brought somebody who knows it much, much better than I do. So I'm going to let Melanie introduce herself and we'll just get started on talking.
Hey, Amanda, thank you so much for having me here with you today for this conversation. I think it's just a super important conversation for women to have because I think there's been sort of some myths around self-love and self-care and what that means. But I'm a life coach. I coach successful women in business who feel like they don't feel as successful on the inside as their life looks from the outside. And so that's what I would like to change for everyone is how they're thinking. It starts with your thoughts about yourself. So we're going to talk about that a lot.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And you guys will see, I will probably be popping these bad boys one after another today. Um, so Melanie is an amazing life coach. And when we're talking about self-care, it's a little odd that an organizer would want this theme of self-care to be part of all her social media stuff for this whole month of the year. And the reason I wanted to talk about self-care is because I think getting organized is a version of self-care. And me as a business owner, as Melanie will know, I'm not the greatest at it personally either. So I think that it is so incredibly powerful that we all take care of ourselves. And, Valentine's Day was earlier this month, and I got people asking me left and right, oh, what are you guys doing for Valentine's Day? What are you doing for Valentine's Day? Me and my husband don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. We instead do little things throughout the year. And so we didn't do anything, but on Valentine's Day, I just kind of sat around and did nothing. That was what I kind of did for myself.
Beautiful.
Um, but we put so much stress and effort on showing the people around us this one day a year how much we love and care about them, but we lose sight of ourselves. There's not really a self-care day of the year. And if there is, somebody please tell me what that day is, and I would love to celebrate that. But yeah, Melanie, what are your thoughts on self-care and what's kind of that gap of why, especially women, especially moms, I feel like, why we don't do that?
Yeah, I think it starts with our social conditioning, first of all. Um, Even if you were raised in a family who celebrated you and told you, all kinds of really great things about you and that you can do anything and all these things, society still tells us that um, sort of women are kind of the secondary characters in the story and men are the primary. They're like the star of the show. Men are told like you can go out there and do anything, and women are told you're such a good helper. Is it where our value lies in what we can do for other people, and we can see it so very clearly with moms. There's actually a term people use called mom guilt. It's like there's no it's not really an actual thing. It's just thoughts that you're thinking about you not being a good enough mom. And I think all of this just boils down to deep down, we have thoughts like, I'm just not good enough. I'm not worthy. And then we tend to not treat ourselves as if we matter. And that's where it starts, I think.
I have a lot of mom guilt.
Mhm.
I have a lot of mom guilt, and you know, before I started the business or really started this up, I had a full-time job and I didn't really have too much mom guilt. And then I started this business side up, and now I have way more mom guilt that I can't even really fathom at this point, really. So, like, I'll be doing work here at home, and I'm like, oh, I'm sitting my kid in front of a screen while I'm doing work. And so I feel really guilty about that, but it's because I'm doing something that I want to do and that I want to pursue. So I feel really guilty about it. And I know that I feel like social media has really conditioned us too to see, oh, look at that mom. She's a business owner, but she's also spending really great quality time with her kids. And her social media is her spending tons of time with her kids. And I'm like, how are you even doing all of this?
Yeah. Well, and I think it starts with what are your thoughts about your child uh, in front of a screen? That
Oh,
equals bad, right? Like, oh, a bad mom puts her child in front of the screen. It's bad for kids to tell you what, I grew up in the 80s. And although, we talk a lot about how we were outside playing all the time, we watched a lot of TV. And we played Atari. I had Atari, but I mean, it's that thought that okay, this is bad. It stunts their growth. It's whatever it is. And a good mom would, but who says it's up to you too? Like we take all this responsibility on ourselves to make sure our children have this beautiful, perfect childhood when really they're just experiencing the childhood that they were meant to have. And I really think we put so much pressure on ourselves that we have to do the right thing, and there is no right thing. You can look out there and see statistics that will tell you it's amazing to have them in front of screens all day, and statistics that tell you they should never be in front of a screen, right? It's all just various shades of however you want to be as a mom. And you said you feel guilty because you're pursuing something that you want to do. That's not why you're feeling guilty. You're feeling guilty because you have a thought that that's wrong or bad or
Mm.
somehow negatively affecting your child, and that's just not true. And like we can totally start to shift, we can poke holes when we start poking holes in those beliefs we have, like this is a bad thing. We can let go of some of that judgment we have over whether we're doing it the right way or not.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the whole month of February, like I've said multiple times, we talked about self-care, and my assistant was really great. She came up with a self-care bingo card, which was so cool. So there was tons of little spaces. One was like get a massage, one was read a book, blah blah blah. So if you guys haven't downloaded that bingo card, I really encourage you to because there's a lot of cool things. Um, but what are some examples? And maybe, and massages aren't always cheap, right? What are some examples of different things, Melanie, that you think people can do
Mm-hmm.
that maybe do cost a little bit of money, but some that are very inexpensive or even free?
Mm-hmm.
Things that like maybe I can't even think of.
Mm. Well, I will tell you the absolute number one priority is completely free and everyone is capable of it, is start changing the way you talk to yourself.
Oh.
So for your example, let's say a massage, or what was read a book. Okay, let's say you decide to go get a massage. That massage, you could decide this hour is for myself. This feels amazing. I deserve this. Um, it's whatever, like all the things. This is wonderful. This is going to help me be a better mom. This is going to help me show up better for my business. Or you could be laying there getting your massage thinking, well, I should be with my kid. I'm a really bad mom. I can't believe I spent this money on this massage when I could have gotten something for my husband or my kid. So like you can see how that would be a completely different experience. And the same with reading a book. Like, oh, you could read the book and say, oh, this is expanding my mind, or this is just for fun and I get to have fun. Or you could be reading a book going, oh, this is what do we call it? A guilty pleasure. Like, oh, this is a guilty pleasure. We don't have to be guilty about any kind of pleasure, but like, I should be working on my business right now. I should be doing this. I should be cleaning or doing whatever it is, and then we feel terrible doing the thing. So it's really not caring for ourselves. Or you could just, or it might be like, well, I really should be reading that self-help book instead of this juicy romance.
Right.
So I,
Right.
honestly,
There's a book over here that I really need to read and I do want to read it. But then I'm like, well, that takes time away from all the other things that I
yes,
need to do.
right? Time away from all those external things outside of ourselves instead of it's okay and I matter and my feelings matter and time to myself matter. You know, and again, like, and I'm not saying all women and all men, but it is sort of a society thing where have you ever heard a man say, I'm going to go play golf and I'm going to feel really guilty about it because I'm taking time away from my family or my business or whatever? No, they just go do the thing,
I just go
right?
do
Because they're like, yeah, it's golf. It's,
it.
whatever. I don't know what they think, what they're thinking, but
That's That's a
Yeah.
really great point because and I bring up a lot of examples based on my life and my experiences because I think it
Mm-hmm.
helps give people insight into my craziness. But my
Yeah.
husband does not feel guilty about taking care of himself and being proactive with his health. And we just went and got a couples massage a couple weeks ago. And it was amazing for him because he had a really bad car accident, but he hasn't really gotten a lot of things figured out with his body since then. When it comes to like, hey, you got so many knots and you've got a lot of tension here still. And so she's like, you need to come back in like 2 weeks and do this again because I need to spend more time in this area. And he's like, yeah. And, past Amanda years ago would have been like, no, that's going to be a waste of money, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
current Amanda's like, oh, you're being proactive with your health. That makes sense, right? Like, I would rather spend the $90 to give you this hour of massage now, opposed to in a year or so spending countless hospital bills on something else that happens
Mm-hmm.
in the meantime.
Yeah. Those are your
But yeah,
thoughts
he
about
doesn't
him
feel
doing
guilty, and
that,
I always feel guilty about it for myself.
right? Right? Why do you think that is? What is your thought about it?
I think I feel guilty about it because I grew up in a home where the responsibilities were your main priority.
Mm,
So if you could spend $90 on a massage, why couldn't you spend $90 on the, fixing up the lawnmower that needs fixed up, or fixing up the house, or putting that away to a new house, or something like that, something that's a higher responsibility other
mhm.
than yourself.
Yeah.
But that's the environment that I kind of, what I take away from the environment that I grew up in.
So yeah, exactly. So that therein goes back to starting to poke some holes in that is like the responsibility to take care of my health. Is that just as important as a lawnmower or a new house or whatever? Like you're going to be in your body and living. And this is why I say, like, start changing the relationship you have with yourself by telling yourself amazing things. Love yourself the way you'd want to be loved by somebody else, or the way you want to love your kids and the people around you. And know you're living in this body and in this brain and in this heart the rest of your life. That should be your number one responsibility, right?
Right.
Like your lawn
It's
could
being
get a
true.
little long. You could hire someone. Okay, we don't even need to go into like self-care, like hiring out the things that you just don't want. Like if you love to mow the lawn, go for it. If you and
Okay.
like, or if you hate to mow the lawn, then hire it out. Like
Right.
it's okay. We
If
can
anybody
spend.
wants to come scoop poop at my house, I got a job for you right now because I hate it.
Right?
I hate it so much.
Yeah. And there are companies who will do that. And then it also goes, so again, like, so say scooping the poop, right? This could be an argument, like maybe as partners or a husband, wife, or, whatever, wife, husband, husband, whatever, might have an argument about who picks up the poop in the backyard. And and then the one partner's mad at the other one because they won't pick it up. And they're like, I'm not picking it up. It's like, you don't want to pick it up either. So if we can just like allow other people that they don't want to do that either, how can we work together as a team to get this done? So I'm not the one who has to do it. And I'm telling myself that I'm always the one who has to take care of everything. Right.
Right.
Then we kind of become martyrs in our own life. Like, okay, the ever suffering person who I have to do these things. So I have to feel guilty and I have to, you know, use that $90 towards the house or whatever it
Right.
is. No.
Right.
So
It's a great
yeah.
example because like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I could organize my house. Why would I pay somebody
Oh
else
my
to
gosh.
organize my house or clean my house or do A,
Yeah.
B, and C?" And it's like because you value your time in different ways.
Yes.
Right? Like, I would much rather pay somebody to come pick up the dog poop than me and my husband fight about it. Exactly. Or I know a guy who has a trash removal part of his company and he does white glove service. So wherever your trash and recycling is located at, they will come and pick it up from that location. You don't have to take it to the curb. They literally come and get it from your garage or the side of your house and dump it and put it right back so you don't have to take it out to the curb. I was
Mhm.
like, oh my God, you know how many times I missed trash because one of us forgot to put it out one day?
Yep,
My gosh.
exactly. Well, and you hit the nail on the head. Like our most valuable resource is time. It's our time. And anyone who's following you probably is like, I don't love organizing. I need tips. I need to understand. I need Amanda to show me how. Like
Mhm.
that's amazing that you can come in and I marvel at you talk about or I will say it's a thought, but I will think I'm not organized. And if I think that is a bad thing, I can create a lot of
Oh.
stress for myself and a lot of guilt and a lot of confusion. I don't know where to start, all the things. Or I can just decide, yeah, I'm not great at organizing. So it's okay. I'm going to hire Amanda and it's not a problem because my time, I would rather sit and read a trashy romance novel than organize all my paperwork. And that's what Amanda will come in and do. Right. So, um, and speaking of organizing, that's what I'm talking about as far as your thoughts about yourself. You first have to become aware of what you are thinking and believing about yourself. Because most of us aren't even aware of the thoughts going through our head. So we got to get them out on paper. Just like if you were cleaning out your walk-in closet, you pull everything out, right? And
Mhm.
take a look at it. You
True.
probably clean it real nicely, freshen it all up, and then you lovingly put only those things back in that you really want to keep. And if you see a thought in there that says, "Oh, I'm not a good enough mom because my kid watches, is in front of the screen too much," is that really a thought you want to keep? Right? You can decide, well, is that true? Maybe it's not true. Maybe there's some things I might want to adjust about the screen time, but from a place of love for myself and feeling like I'm an amazing mom. I love my child. I'm an amazing person building a business. I hire out. I am helping other people. When I think about hiring people to do things for me, I'm like, wow, I am helping them provide for their families.
Mhm.
That's amazing. I feel so good spending money in that way. Right. So I think I kind of went on a tangent there for a second, but
No, you're great. That's great. I mean, it all ties back into self-care and
yeah.
what can we do better to take better care of ourselves. Now,
Hmm.
I, since my husband's accident, I will be very open and honest. My schedule got blown up, right? I used to have a very beautiful schedule that I kept to, and it was a beautiful block schedule, and I'm rebuilding it. But in my schedule, I put in, and so I want to know your thoughts. I would call them my non-negotiable blocks of
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Um, and Tuesdays and Thursdays in the evenings, non-negotiable, no calls, no working because I'm going to go work out. Sunday is now a non-negotiable. Like Sunday is a day to spend time with my family. So, what are your thoughts on how people should plan for self-care and what's a good amount of time that they set aside for self-care, especially for people who are like feel really guilty about it. So how do I do these little baby steps to get into this?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a decision, right? Like you have to decide, oh, this self-care is worth it. I'm worth it. I would, like you said with your husband, you're like, oh, of course he's going to go back and get the massage. That's going to help, all that. So you have to decide for yourself that this is a non-negotiable. Um, and then I don't think there's a good and like a perfect time. It's like how do you'll know like if you decide, okay, so Tuesday and Thursday evenings and Sundays are my non-negotiable, no phone, no business, whatever. Um, you get to decide how you want to think about that. So when Tuesday and Thursday evening and Sunday rolls around, what do you want to tell yourself about that time? That you deserve it, that it's worth it, that this is a beautiful time. This is only going to help my business to shut my brain off from all the business stuff or
Mm.
whatever it is. Um, and then you'll know if you start in, because some people are like, well, then I don't want to be lazy. because they're like, well,
Right.
lazy or whatever, self-indulgent, all of that. Those are just thoughts. You get to decide what that means for you, but you'll know when you feel it. You'll know um, when your body feels, you'll know it in your body when you think a thought. Like you'll know when you're creating like a net negative in your life. If you're overindulging in yourself and like, well, you're ignoring your business and ignoring your family because you're like, this is self-care and I do it for 8 hours a day. Like,
Oh my God, if I could.
that's going to produce like a net negative result. Your business is going to suffer, your family will suffer, all of that. But if it only enhances how you're showing up, then in the times when you are on in your business and you're on being a mom and being a wife and a friend and whatnot, I think that's the most important thing. I think we should inject pleasure into our everyday lives. We should learn how to receive, like receiving, like when someone gives us a compliment or whatever, you can receive that. And so often we want to be like, oh, like, oh, I love your hat, and you'd be like, oh, this old thing, I bought it, whatever, blah blah. We have to like justify it, tell how much we paid for it, say, oh, this old thing, oh, instead of just saying, oh, thanks, I love it too, or whatever. I have to cough now.
Oh, the urge is real in my life right now. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
I know. I wanted to bring this up too because I think it's important for the people watching to know this is we had this scheduled before.
Yes.
And well, we did reschedule it once, but we had it scheduled earlier this week. And Amanda showed up and you said you were feeling better, but her voice, her coughing, all of we couldn't even get through 2 minutes without having a cough. And I said, and she showed up, right? And this is what we do. We're like, well, we had it on the calendar. We self-impose these deadlines on ourselves in our business or whatever. And we're like, well, I have to do that thing. It's like, well, you first of all, you don't have to do anything. And it's like we've just decided this was the time. But she showed up and I said, do you want to do this today? Or do you want to do we want to reschedule? And I don't know, but I think she didn't want to like inconvenience me or whatever. And I'm like, no. I said, Amanda, what feels like love? What feels like love for you in this moment? And I think that's a really good question for us to ask ourselves. What feels like love for me? What feels like love for the other person? Um, what just feels like love? And oftentimes that is like what feels like loving to me is just taking like 20 minutes and just reading that book that I've been wanting to read or um so again, I went on a tangent, but that's a really good question to ask yourself. And Amanda said, yeah, it feels kind of loving to reschedule. So
Here's the
good.
thing is if I hadn't reskipped, like I've been like, no, we're just gonna power through it. We could have powered through it, but I would have been having coughing fits the entire time. If you guys
Yeah.
notice, I've maybe coughed once, if
Yeah.
that. And it's because literally after me and Melanie had that phone call, I went and laid down.
Yeah. We have to give yourself permission. Treat yourself like you would treat your child or you would treat your best friend.
Oh God,
Treat yourself as if you're somebody that you care about. What would you say to that person?
that is a really good. That's really good because like I would
Write
never,
that down.
right? Because I would never like tell my child, wow,
Suck it up.
you're being awful today. Like I tell him he's a terror, but like, wow, you've done nothing today. You suck. Like I wouldn't tell my kid that ever. Oh
Uh-huh.
my God.
Yeah.
No. But I tell myself that all
Yeah.
the time. And
Yeah.
so you're right. I need to talk to myself as if I was talking to somebody I really cared about, talking to my child.
Yeah. And you said it, you phrased it like powering through, right? And that's what we do. We're just like power through our lives to get it done. And I would love to offer for everyone here to have some go-to things that they want to ask themselves. Like one of my favorites, I heard my coach say this and I've adopted it for the last few years and it feels so good. Whenever I start to feel elevated or stressed or whatever, some sort of emotion, I pause, I put my hand on my heart and I'm like, breathe. And I say, what's the matter, love? Like, what's going on, love? And can you try that? Just right now, sit there and just say, what's going on, love? What's the matter? And like your whole body relaxes. It feels, oh my God, it just feels so good to be like, oh my God, somebody cares, even if that somebody is you, right? And you're like, what's the matter, love? And then you could be like, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. Okay. Why are you feeling overwhelmed? What's going on? What are you thinking that's creating that feeling of overwhelm or whatever it is? And just be oh so gentle and loving. And you can even do that when you can be like, I'm just feeling tired. It's like, it's okay. You can be tired and you can still write that email. It's okay. Write the email, we can rest later. Or you may decide, what feels like love right now is just having the rest first and then getting back to work. It's all in how you're thinking about it. If in once so there's the overt negative self-talk where we can hear it. Like you're an idiot. Oh my God, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? Like that's like just mean. Like when we
Right.
just know when we're being mean to ourselves if we pay attention. But the really like what's the word I'm looking for? Subtle or subversive kind of self-talk that we kind of throw away that we don't realize is really just mean and cruel is when say we accomplish something and we're like, well, it was just a fluke or well, they just included me because, they needed another person in that group or, things like that. So think again as if it were your child. Would you say to them like, "Oh, you made the soccer team? Oh, well, they probably just needed another body on the team. You're really not that good."
No, you
Right?
would never say
You would
that.
not say
That's so
that.
mean.
Yeah. Or like it wasn't you, you didn't really have a say in that group project. Other people were way better than you. You really didn't contribute. It's like, no, even when it is a group project and you are giving credit outside of yourself, you can still decide, hey, I was a badass in that project and I'm pretty amazing. And I have my own unique um way of being and in my business. I can even if there's 15 organizers, you can decide like we're all amazing and this is how I'm amazing in my own unique way.
Right. It's so incredibly true because you know, I think when people have businesses, and this is going on a small tangent, but when people have businesses, we think about competition. A lot of people initially think competition, competition, competition. And I tell people, I'm like, I'm not the only organizer in the area. We both know another organizer in the area, and she promotes her business a specific way. She's got certain clients. I've got a totally different kind of business. And
Mhm.
so we don't have the same clients. So it's not
Mhm.
truly competition. We can work with each other, off of each other on certain things, right?
Mhm.
And we're not truly competition
Mhm.
because we have two completely different businesses that do very different things.
Yeah.
But so to wrap some stuff up, thank you so much for all of the wonderful information. And I will try to put together some notes on everything you've talked about. But why don't you just tell us a little bit more about your coaching, specific services you offer, and then if you've got anything coming up in the next month or so that you'd like
Mhm.
to promote out to anybody?
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I work with women and not all my clients are women in business, but what I'm speaking to really with my clients is they may have things they want to change in their life. They want to improve their relationships. They want to grow their business. They want to walk into a networking group and feel confident. They want to stop emotional eating or stop over drinking, things like that. Anything that well, everything in our life starts with the way we're thinking about it. So I am a mindset coach and I work on how are you thinking about something? How is that making you feel? And when you're feeling that way, what are you doing or not doing? So we work a lot on, people, if something they've like, I've tried 80,000 diets before and none of them have worked. I can guarantee you haven't done it with this approach that I share with my clients. So I work one on one and it's all about their specific needs and where they want to be in their life and why aren't they getting there. And so I have a 6 month and a 12 week. And I have clients who've worked with me for a year and a half to 2 years. So oftentimes just because different things come up in different areas of our life. So that's what I do. I also am a founder of the real estate training school. So uh, my co-founder and I are creating this school where we're teaching and training real estate in a whole different way. we're, a whole different way of like doing it your way and not the way the dude bro marketers have told us for millennia of how to market and promote our services and advertise. And so it's a very different way of doing things. That's what I'm doing. And I'm starting a podcast. So I have a YouTube channel with lots of training videos on it. There's Facebook Live. So I'm just going to continue to add more video content to that as we move forward as well.
Beautiful. I love that so much. I didn't know about the realtor stuff, and I love that you are doing that because the world of real estate, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So
huge.
that's my background. I've been in real estate for like 13 years, and I loved what you said about the about it's not competition. A realtor said one time we're in cooperation with each other, cooperating
Ooh.
competition. But what I like even more than that is, especially now that I'm life coaching and there's a lot of different life coaches with different flavors, I like thinking about it as collaboration. I love collaborating with other professionals who do like this is I'm loving this. Like you're an organizer, I'm a life coach. Let's marry those together and see what beautiful baby we can make together. I'm
It's going to be a Melanie and Amanda love child.
Exactly. That's how I think about it is marrying these two concepts because it just shows you that everything is connected and how we think about one thing is how we think about other things. And so it translates in all different areas of our lives.
I
All of
love
this.
it. Well, thank you again, Melanie, for showing up and sharing all these wonderful tips and being part of the self-care theme that I had for February. Um, everyone, I will put Melanie's almost got through. I will put Melanie's information in the comments and notes part of whatever I do with this video. This is only the second video, like podcast video-y kind of interview. Still working through some of the hiccups and what exactly I want this to be, but every single month is going to be somebody different. Currently narrowing down my March person to match my theme for March. And if you guys don't know, my theme for March is going to be all around kitchens and food organizing. And so I will probably be, I actually have a nutritionist that's working with me on an event next month. So I'm going to see if she can actually do this and go
Sounds
more
fun.
into detail with some of that because that would be really fun to do as well. But
Love it.
thank you again, Melanie, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, Amanda.
Oh gosh.